Hey, what's up, guys? Everything in your life is an expression of how you feel. Just notice that when you walk around and you look at people and you look at your own life, is like literally everything that you do is just communicating what's going on inside of you. That's why they say, as within, so without. So every situation you find yourself in life, right? All the things that you wish were different, all the things that you don't want, that's all just an expression of how you feel about yourself. And what most people will do is try and fix that by changing the world around them. So it creates a lot of effort. I need to change this, I need to do this, right? In order to feel happier in some way. But the reality of it is that if they can somehow fix that thing outside of them, but they haven't fixed the thing within them that's creating that, they're going to start repeating those same patterns. And that's why people never change. It's because they don't really do the inner work. And when we look at what the inner work is, I mean, there's so many different types of inner work, right? But the most powerful, as taught for thousands of years, is to change your identity. Now the problem is that most of us, our identity has been carefully chosen, mostly unconsciously, in order to stay safe. So we don't want to change our identity. That's why if you say to most people like, oh, I'm changing my identity, especially if they know you well, they'll get scared. They'll think you've gone crazy. Why would you want to change your identity? Truth is, your identity is constantly shifting anyway. You can identify as someone who struggles, or you can identify as someone who's successful. Now, everyone around you is going to want you to stay as you are because that's the version that they've got to know and love. But you know deep down that you need to start making some changes in your life so you can start enjoying your life more, start being happier and healthier. And that comes from your identity, right? You can identify as a struggler, you can identify as someone who's successful. That's down to you. It's down to your identity. Now, your identity is coming from how you feel and how you think about yourself, essentially, at its most basic level. There's many different ways to explain it. So, confidence is a feeling. Now, some people identify as being confident, naturally. Some people identify as being unconfident. Right, and that comes from an inner feeling. That doesn't come from a thought. I mean, the thoughts create the feeling. When you were younger, when you were a little kid, when you were a baby, you were naturally confident. And that's because all of your identities that you were forming, you thought were okay. No one told you that it wasn't okay to be a certain way until you learnt that. And then when you start learning that a certain way of being isn't okay, or that you're bad, or you're a naughty little boy, or whatever it is, you hide that identity in order to not have to feel bad. But the truth is, a lot of these identities that we hide are actually needed in order for us to go and have a happy life, in order for us to go after the things that we want. Like an example that I use a lot is we often want things too much, and in the wanting of something we push it away. Now the wanting communicates that we don't think we can have it, and it's a bit counterintuitive to what we've learned, because there's a lot of teachings out there that say, oh, you've got to really want it in order to have it. But if you could imagine, in order for you to really go after these things that you want to tap into your inner superhero some way. So that's like a superhero within you that just goes after what he wants, and he's not afraid. Okay? But fear stops us being that character, and instead we choose to really want it. And we think we're doing right by wanting it, but really the wanting is just communicating that we can't have it yet. So think about a little kid, right? A little kid wants to be a superhero too. Maybe one day, well, maybe once you were wanting to be a superhero. And so you access that energy of being a superhero. Maybe it wasn't the right time for that. Maybe mum and dad were a bit stressed out or busy, and they didn't have time for you running around being a superhero. Maybe it was in a busy restaurant and you needed to sit down and be quiet. So you got told not to be loud or not to be big, and so you hid that, right? Now you give a Superman, let's say you give a little kid a Superman outfit, and that little kid feels like he's allowed to be Superman, and you give him the outfit, he's not going to be like, oh, I really want to be Superman. Why would he do that? He can just put on the outfit and be Superman. And then he's big and he's bold and he goes through the room and he's like, oh, I'm a superhero, and he does what he wants and he saves people and he rescues people. He doesn't want to do all that, he just does it. Now, whatever it is in life you want to do that you're not doing, it's because you've learned that that inner superhero within you isn't actually going to get your needs met. You've hidden it. And instead you identify with this version of you that follows the rules, does what he's told, doesn't offend people, doesn't want to trigger other people, and you're trying to get through life from that identity, from constantly being careful not to affect other people. And it gets so deep within our mind and body and nervous system, it just becomes a part of our identity. I think everyone has it to varying degrees. Very few people don't have this, and they're the people that really fucking soar. So just see that in your own life, you know. The things that you want to go after that you're not, it's because you're not accessing that inner superhero within, because you've learned that it's bad. This is where shadow work comes into play, because we want to start accessing these hidden parts of us that are going to allow us to go after what we want. And if we're not accessing them, it's because we have fear over them, because we've been taught they were bad. We learned that they were bad. We want to communicate to ourselves that we're not bad. We can go after the things we want. If we're in touch with our heart in some way, we know that we're not going to cause harm to others, at least not on purpose. I mean, we don't. If you have an intention to cause harm to others, that's going to give you a whole new set of issues, right? But if you've got good intentions, if you just want to go out and put your word out there, or if you want to create a business, if you just want to be you, that's probably going to create some harm in others, right? It's going to cause an emotional reaction in other people. But as long as your intentions are good, you've got nothing to worry about. But you will lose friends. That's a natural part of this process. You can't, if you want to start taking more action in life, you have to shift your identity, and everyone around you knows you as a particular identity. The more you're wired to keep everyone around you safe and happy, the harder it's going to be. This is why monks like to go sit in a cave, because they don't have the pressure of people around them. But we don't have to go sit in a cave to really access these states within us. We can do it in everyday life. We just have to constantly remind ourselves that it's okay to offend other people. It's okay to trigger others. It's okay, if you're not, you're fitting in some way. If everyone around you is constantly being pandered to, you're just not being your authentic self. It's as simple as that. I hope you got some value out of that video, and follow for more.